Good evening. I want to tell you about how I first came across this esports dataset and the data exploration that I did in Tableau. I started off by looking at what the players' handles were, and I thought to myself, I wonder what they've earned. Now, the data was broken up by local currencies, so I needed to convert that and create a formula that multiplied the price by the exchange rate, get it into US dollars, and then divide it by the number of team players. Now, esports are played in teams. For Dota 2, which the majority of this data represents, they need to play in teams of 5 players. Whether the captain of the team earns more of that prize money when they split it out, I don't know. But I've made the assumption, because it was the only thing in the data, that we're dividing that by the number of team players to get what each player earns. So I broke that down and started looking at who earned the most. And this guy, Kuroki, certainly seems to have earned over £4.2 million playing games on his machine. And so I wondered, well, how does that break down over time? So I moved this over here and put this here and broke it up by month. And then I thought, well, let's highlight where we can see Kuroki in there. And you can see he's had some pretty big wings. In fact, if we turn that into a circle chart, we can see he's had some absolutely massive wins over time. So that led me to think, well, how do these guys battle it out? You know, has Kuroki always been the highest earner? Has he just had some lucky wins in his time that have taken him to the top of these big, high outliers? So I dived into the data and created this dashboard. This dashboard hopefully helps us answer that question and look at the battle to be the highest earner in esports. And so what I'm going to do is just play that, and the data starts in 2007, and you can see that Loader is the first guy who's playing from our top 10, the top 100. Remember, we've got the current top 100 players here, so what we've got is only 4 of them were playing back in 2008, 2009. So you can see when Kuroki comes, he's definitely not the highest earner within that pack. And as time advances, he's nowhere near the highest earner. He wins a couple of competitions, and as more of the top 100 come into play, then he's certainly there. And whoa, what just happened? Kuroki's suddenly jumped up here. Now this is the international championships, and in 2013 Kuroki won that and took a huge leap in the rankings. So we can see he wins a few more championships. There's another national championship just here, before suddenly a few more dives as people overtake him in national championships, and then in 2017 Kuroki wins the big one. So what we see is that Kuroki is really dependent on these international championships. So the next question to ask is, if Kuroki is so dependent on these big international jumps where everyone changes places, those big outliers we saw, what happens if we take those out of the data set? And that's what I'm going to do now. So let's look at the highest earning tournament names by that total prize. And what we can see is we've got all these international tournaments just here. And we've got the 2011 one right down there. So let's create a set of those and let's exclude them. So this is going to be our internationals. And now I've got that set, I can exclude that using a filter to exclude them from my data. And I can apply that over everything I've built so far. So now when we come back here, we see that Kuroki has actually gone down to 4th place in a kind of provisional rankings. We can see that his journey hasn't always been at the top, and gradually he's been winning some. No Tail, who was actually 2nd in our previous visualization, he's the one who's been winning the tournaments. He's the one who's consistently been earning more outside those competitions. So thank you very much for listening. I hope that's told you a story that you wanted to hear.